Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Alhamdulillah. Wa syukurillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Amma ba'd. All praise be always to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Peace and blessing upon the messenger Nabiullah Muhammad, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah. Today, uh, we are going to have the next discussion regarding the pronunciation, English pronunciation. And today, it is material of stress in simple words. Beforehand, let's open our class by a prayer. The prayer begins. Bismillah. All right, then, everyone. Let's get it down to the business. Stress in simple words. Stress in simple words. What is stress? The nature of stress. Stress is the way a word or syllable is pronounced with greater force than other words in the same sentence or other syllables in the same word. The nature of stress is simple enough. Practically everyone would agree that the first syllable of words like open is stressed, that the middle syllable is stressed in potato. Potato, te is stressed there. Open, o is stressed then. And that the final syllable is stressed in perhaps. Perhaps is the stress in that word. The characteristics of stress. We can study stress from the points of view of production and perception. The production of stress is generally believed to depend on the speaker using more muscular energy than is used for unstressed syllables. So the production of stress is depend on the speaker using most muscular energy than unstressed syllables. From the perceptual point of view, all stressed syllables have one characteristic in common, and that is prominence. Stressed syllables are recognized as stressed because they are more prominent than unstressed syllables. Now, what makes a syllable? What makes a syllable prominent? So there are four things you have to consider in a syllable. In syllable, they are loudness, length, pitch, and quality. Levels of stress. There are three levels of stress. Number one, primary stress. From the point of view of stress, the most important fact about the way we pronounce this word is that on the second syllable, the pitch of the voice doesn't remain level, but usually falls from a higher to a lower pitch. The prominence that results from this pitch movement or tone gives the strongest type of stress. This is called primary stress. From the speaker's highest pitch level into the lower one. Secondary stress. In some words, we can observe a type of stress that is weaker than primary stress. The secondary is weaker than primary stress. For example, consider the first levels of the words photographic, anthropology. The stress in these words is called secondary stress. It is usually represented in transcription with a low mark. The low mark means the mark is in the low. And unstressed, a third level which can be called unstressed, and is regarded as being the absence of any recognizable amount of prominence. The placement of stress within the word. In order to decide on stress placement, it is necessary to make use of some or all of the following information. Number one, whether the word is formo formologically simple or whether it is complex as a result either of containing one or more affixes. For example, or namely prefixes or suffixes. So prefixes and suffixes or suffixes are fixes or of being a compound word. Number two, what the grammatical category of the word is. Noun, verb, adjective, etc. What about two-syllable words? There is a general tendency for verbs to be stressed nearer the end of a word and for nouns to be stressed nearer the beginning. We will look first at verbs. If the final syllable is weak, then the first syllable is stressed. Thus, enter, open. So, two-syllable words there. You need to pronounce that as enter. And as the first syllable, stress is in the first syllable. And the final syllable, ter, is weak then. It is also for open. Or, the first syllable is strong, on the stress is there, whether uh, while the pen, pen, open is not stressed in the final syllable. A final syllable is also unstressed if it contains a, something like follow, follow, follow. That's the final syllable. Unstressed there. Borrow. If the final syllable is strong, then the that syllable is stressed even if the first syllable is also strong. If the final syllable is strong, then the syllable is stressed, even if the first syllable is also strong. Something like apply, apply. Final syllable is strong. Attract, 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 attract. Apply, apply, attract. Two-syllable simple adjectives are stressed according to the same rule, giving lovely, 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 even, divine, divine, divine. So you can make the stress from the first syllable and also can be the final syllable. As with most stress rules, there are exceptions. For example, honest, honest, perfect, 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 both of which end with strong syllables but are stressed on the first syllable. Nouns require a different rule. Stress will fall on the first syllable unless the first syllable is weak and the second syllable is strong. Thus, for example, money, product, balloon, balloon. Other two-syllable words such as adverbs seem to behave like words and like verbs and adjectives. What about three syllables of word? The three syllables there. In simple verbs, if the final syllable is strong, then it will receive primary stress. If the final syllable is strong, then it will receive primary stress. So resurrect. So the final syllable is erect. So erect there, receive primary stress. Entertain. If the last syllable, so interchange, the last syllable, train, got, or receive primary stress. If the last syllable is weak, if the last syllable is weak, then it will be unstressed, and stress will be placed on the preceding penultimate syllable if that syllable is strong. Thus, encounter, encounter, the last syllable is weak. The last syllable, and it is weak, so it will be unstressed. The, not but the. Encounter, determine, determine, determine. So on the preceding, determine, determine. And the preceding means that the syllable before the last syllable in the second syllable. The second syllable. You need to make it stress in the determine, encounter, encounter. If both the second and third syllables are weak, if the second and the third syllables are weak, then the stress falls on the initial syllable. So the second and the third syllables are weak, so the stress falls on the initial syllable. Parody, parody. Monitor, monitor. Something like that. Nouns require a slightly different rule. General tendency is to stress to fall on the first syllable unless it is weak. Thus, quantity. So nouns require a slightly different rule from the previous ones. General tendency is to stress to fall on the first syllable unless it is weak. Quantity, enmity. However, in words with the weak first syllable, the stress comes on the next syllable. So if the first syllable is weak, the stress will be on the next syllable. Potato, potato. So po is weak as the first syllable. So the stress in the second syllable. Te, potato. Disaster, 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 disaster. When a three-syllable noun has a strong final syllable, so the final syllable is strong, that syllable will not usually receive the main stress. So you can pronounce intellect. So a three-syllable noun has a strong final syllable. Strong final syllable, then syllable will not usually receive the main stress. So even if the last or the number three, a three-syllable noun, is strong final syllable. The final syllable is strong, so that syllable will not usually receive the main stress. Intellect, not intellect. Even if like there get strong syllable, but it will pronounce without stress, right? Intellect, not intellect, but intellect. Marigold. Adjectives seem to need the same rule to produce stress patterns, such as opportune, 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 insolent, insolent, opportune, insolent. All right, I don't have to read this one. That's for teacher. Finding, practice, and testing material for word stress is very simple. However, any modern English dictionary shows word stress patterns as part of word entries. And lists of these can be made either with stress marks for students to read from or without stress marks for students to put their own marks on. Thanks, class. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'll see you next 2 weeks. Let's close our class by Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.